Hi, I'm Tom Kelleher. I'm one of the curators here at Old Sturbridge Village, and I have the privilege of talking to you today about one of my favorite people from the 1800s, and he made several of my favorite pieces in our collection here at Old Sturbridge Village. The gentleman I'm speaking of is this fellow here. This is Henry Harrington, who was born in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts in 1796. And he died one day short of his 80th birthday in Southbridge in 1876. And this is his wife, who he married when he was 22 years old. This is Maria Oakes Harrington, with whom they raised a large family. Henry was a wiry fellow, very clever and inventive. They say that up until a few years before he died, he was able to jump in the air and click his heels together and come down safely on the ground, something I don't think I could have done when I was a kid, much less now. Anyway, the point is that Henry was a cutler. He was very proud of his skill making edge tools like this straight razor, this doctor's scalpel, this doctor's retractor. This is another medical tool. This is a lancet, a very sharp, pointy blade that folds, when not in use, into its exquisite tortoiseshell handle. And he made this phleem for bleeding patients, for opening a antecubital vein in the arm to treat disease by relieving what they thought might be too much blood in the body. He used the best steel available at the time. It was called cast steel or crucible steel from England. Truthfully, the best tools in the early 1800s and for most of the 1700s came out of England, because England had very skilled workmen, it had a good distribution system, it had the best steel in the world, that crucible steel, that cast steel, which was higher quality than steel that other countries at the time could make. And so even Harrington, even though he was a proud American, imported that cast British steel for making his cutlery. He, however, was very proud of the fact that we were a democratic, small d, republic, small r. He stamped all his output with the words, Henry Harrington, Cutler to the people, as opposed to the British who might say Cutler to Her Majesty the Queen, Cutler to the Duke of so-and-so, to sell their wares. He put Cutler to the people, very proud of his American roots, and an American eagle on each piece. The nice thing about our Harrington collection here is that we not only have a number of his implements that he made, some looking as new as they did 200 years ago, but we also have a lot of the tools that he used to make his pieces. We have a lot of blanks, knife blades and razor blades in various stages of production, and we even have one of his punches and dies for stamping out penknife blades out of a piece of annealed steel. The thing that I think is interesting about Harrington is he not only had this successful business as arguably America's first full-time cutler, maker of fine quality knives and surgical equipment, but he also was an inventor. He loved to tinker with different things. He in 1837 took out a patent for an improved kind of firearm. And this is one example of that 1837 patent. It's actually stamped here on the breech. Henry Harrington, patent 1837. This gun has 7 barrels, so it can fire 7 shots at once. We actually have a few different variations of these. The others are on exhibit at our Armed and Equipped exhibit in the Firearms building. But the nice thing about this 1837 patent, or what was unique about it at least, was that unlike most weapons at the time, you did not have to load it from the muzzle, from the front of the gun. And in this case, you'd have to load 7 barrels. What Harrington did was design it so that the block in the breech could be taken out. Just flip a lever and remove a precisely machined piece of steel with 7 holes in it that you would load individually more easily. Put a percussion cap for ignition on this little nipple here, and then drop it back into the gun, lock the lever, and then you could fire 7 bullets at once. He tried to sell this design to the United States Army. They rejected it for a number of reasons. One, they felt the guns were very heavy, and there's a lot of machined steel in it, so it is a fairly heavy gun. Another one that they were afraid of is that by having the soldiers fire 7 bullets at once, that they'd run out of ammunition. And the other thing is they were not something that in the 1830s were easy to mass produce cheaply. So they never really caught on. He never really went into real production with any of his firearms, but he continued to experiment. Another one of his experiments was to make a hollow bullet gun. This gun here has a solid rod down the middle, and then the rod is in the middle of a tube. And this rifle here does not have rifling grooves inside the barrel to make the bullet spin like a football and go farther and straighter with greater accuracy, but rather this rod down the middle of the barrel has the spiral grooves in it, the rifling. And so that was a new experiment. You can see the very precise sights that he put on this weapon. The gun, of course, had to have a special bullet, so he made a special bullet mold. Like everything he did an exquisite job. So he would have a hollow bullet that could be cast in this specialized brass, bullet mold. Henry Harrington didn't stop at guns and knives. He mass-produced knives, just experimented with firearms, but he made a fiddle. We have a little granny note, as we call them, that came along with it, something written by probably one of his descendants, so future generations would know what it was. And I won't read the note, but it basically says that Henry Harrington made this fiddle in 1855. It's made out of a piece of hemlock on the front that came from a tree struck by lightning, and the back is tiger maple out of an old chest of drawers, the back of an old chest of drawers that he accessed. And while it doesn't have quite the proportions of a Stradivarius, it is a very nicely made fiddle, and I have no idea how it sounds. I don't play the fiddle, and we haven't tensioned the strings to find out, but it doesn't sound too bad. Anyway, at least not to me. We don't know if he made the case or not, probably, but the granny note doesn't tell us that, so we can just speculate on that. His business is still going strong in Southbridge, Massachusetts. They're now called Dexter, after one of his sons who took over the company after he passed. And they make the largest line of professional knives in the world. Some good legacy for Henry Harrington, Cutler to the people.